Welcome to Within the Frame, where we bring the most pressing issues across the globe into focus. I'm Kim Mok-yeon. Geopolitical tensions between North Korea and the United States have once again taken center stage, with U.S. President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un making official comments regarding the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. For the first time since retaking office, Trump has officially underscored Washington's policy of complete denuclearization, saying he's open to dialogue with the regime. But North Korea has responded with a clear rejection of any such discussions, reinforcing its commitment to advancing its nuclear capabilities. The regime declared that its nuclear arsenal is not a bargaining chip, but a practical tool for national defense, signaling an uncompromising stance. In today's Within the Frame, we explore U.S.-North Korea relations, the North Korea-Russia partnership, and how these dynamics might reshape the global order. For this, we invite Kim Mok-yeon, Senior Research Fellow at the Institute for National Security Strategy. Welcome, Dr. Go.
It's nice to be here.
And also joining us online is Mark Barry, Associate Editor of Emeritus at the International Journal on World Peace. Welcome.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So let's start right away with Dr. Barry. The U.S.-Japan joint statement reaffirmed the goal towards a complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, which was the first official such mention under Trump's second term. Now, despite previous controversy over Trump's referring to North Korea as a nuclear state, this summit reaffirmed the longstanding denuclearization policy. How did you find this? Did you expect this?
Well, I think the most we should read into it, and I don't think we should read too much, is that Trump is basically saying he's sticking, generally speaking, with the Biden administration policy that the U.S. Wants to see the complete denuclearization of North Korea, that military exercises will continue, that the sanctions will continue. But honestly speaking, the real meaning of the visit of Prime Minister Ishiba was for the Prime Minister. Of course, he was apprehensive about Trump, and he even said so in the press conference, and he was pleasantly surprised to see how friendly and considerate President Trump was towards him. And for President Trump, he hasn't really gotten over the demise of Prime Minister Abe, who in many ways was his best friend as a world leader. They went golfing together, and even a few weeks ago at Mar-a-Lago, Abe's widow had dinner with President Trump. So he was trying to see if he could rekindle the relationship, and President Trump said he was very, very pleasantly surprised about what a good man that the Prime Minister is, and he even signed a photo and inscribed him and said, "You're going to be a great man." And so things got off to a very good start, but I think what we should read into it is that Japan figures extremely importantly in U.S. policy towards Asia, and that should not be a surprise.
Now let's bring in Dr. Go to the conversation. President Trump expressed willingness to engage in dialogue with Kim Jong-un, but he avoided mentioning the term denuclearization exactly. What do you think was the reason behind this?
Well, we know that Kim Jong-un feels very allergic to the term denuclearization of North Korea. North Korea has been very insistent that denuclearization be removed from the negotiation table for many years now. It's almost 10 years. North Korea has declared itself to be a nuclear state. So there's no precedence of a nuclear state ever giving up their nuclear capability. So North Koreans have a good precedence to stick to. So that's what North Korea is trying to convince the world of. So North Korea has been trying hard to convince the world that it's a bona fide nuclear state, will never give it up. So therefore, only matter that the international community can negotiate with North Korea, it's a matter of recognizing North Korea as a nuclear state and also recognize North Korea as a security interest, and so give up the idea of denuclearization. But we know that the United States, along with South Korea and other members of the international community, have never recognized or even acknowledged the prospect of ever discussing this issue or giving up the goal of denuclearization of North Korea in the past. So President Trump understands that he's giving North Korea hope that there can be meaningful dialogue between Washington and Pyongyang if he's the president. So that's the reason why he wants to keep this hope alive for the North Koreans, to bring North Koreans to the negotiation table. But what makes North Koreans hesitate, in my view, is the fact that, except for President Trump, the entirety of U.S. national security team have made it very clear that the United States policy towards North Korea is still about denuclearization. So there are different messages coming from Washington, and I think it creates dilemma for North Korea. I think Kim Jong-un understands that President Trump is possibly the best opportunity that North Korea ever has, being able to recognize as a nuclear state. But then when they see the overall picture of the policy objectives and the statement coming from the national security team in this current Trump administration, there's unlikely there's going to be a significant change about the goal of denuclearization of North Korea for the United States.
Right, so it could be quite confusing in the regime's perspective. But North Korea's state media has rejected possibilities for denuclearization talks, saying nuclear weapons are not a bargaining chip, but are for practical use, and they stress it will not participate in such denuclearization talks. Dr. Berry, do you think this will make a U.S.-North Korea summit quite unlikely?
At this point, it may appear so, and of course, one reason is because North Korea is so tied into Russia and being really a subcontractor for Russian aggression upon Ukraine, and we can discuss that a little more in a bit. But what I'd like to highlight at this point, and to echo what was posted on NK News just a few hours ago, Gabriela Bernal noted KCNA's excoriating the United States for its policy towards Gaza, and even using the word displacement of the 1.8 or 2 million population of Gaza to other countries. And really what they see is that if this is how the United States treats weaker powers, weaker entities, especially those with the least capability of defending themselves, we're going to get very much the short end of the stick. And so, therefore, Kim and the DPRK overall has to say that nuclear weapons are not at all a bargaining chip, but are there for the enhancement of the security and political prowess of the DPRK. What isn't being said enough is that Trump's proposal, which King Abdullah of Jordan tried to minimize in the pool spray at the White House Oval Office yesterday, is that this is a complete caving in to the right-wing Israeli position that all Arabs could not coexist in Palestine and on Israeli soil, and need to be displaced and taken in by other Arab countries. So if you are the DPRK and you look at that, you basically say Trump's policy is really one of asking North Korea to capitulate. And following the pattern of his father and his grandfather, Kim Jong-un absolutely will not do that.
Right. Now, days after Trump's call for dialogue, Kim Jong-un visited nuclear test sites, reaffirming his commitment to enhance his nuclear capabilities. Dr. Go, do you think this was a political message to the United States?
Everything is a political message. I don't think it makes any sense for North Korea to send a message such like this to their own population. They don't have a vote on this. United States does. So clearly a message to Washington. But then at the same time, I think the reason why North Korea is sending this message about demonstrating that they have a very significant nuclear production capability is because they have a couple of plan Bs or plan B and C in case their plan A of sitting across the table with a sitting U.S. President Donald Trump fails. I think Dr. Berry made it very clear that right now North Korea has a plan B, which is Russia. Russia is supplying North Korea with economic assistance, military technology, as well as diplomatic prestige in exchange for weapons assistance and manpower assistance to the Russians. So that's a plan B. But then I don't think it's a satisfactory state of affairs for North Korea. They clearly, plan A is to be recognized as a nuclear state by the United States. So they're going to put all their effort now on for a while now But then if it doesn't materialize, I mean, there are, as we discussed already, there are conflicting signals from Washington about the prospect of discussing North Korea as a nuclear state in the potential summit between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un in the future. So then North Koreans have to prepare for contingency plans. And so there's a Russian option. China is probably not an option right now because the Chinese government is not very happy with Kim Jong-un, and then North Korea's rapprochement with Russia. But then clearly another option is North Korea going alone, persisting or insisting on becoming a major nuclear state by demonstrating they have a massive nuclear arsenal. To what use, we have no idea, but then still it's going to be threatening by the fact that they have many nuclear weapons. And that's something that North Korea are going to stick to if the all other plans fail.
Right, and their collaboration with Russia would definitely help in their
Exactly.
nuclear development. Let's now shift to North Korea's involvement in the Ukraine conflict. We've been touching upon this as we discussed. Russia is sending injured soldiers to North Korea for free treatment, and North Korea is also offering vacations for the children of Russian soldiers and is also expanding educational exchanges. So a lot of things are going on between the two countries. Dr. Berry, what could this say about the growing relationship between the two sides?
It's not unexpected. I was a little surprised that injured Russian soldiers, I guess they fly them in because taking the Trans-Siberian Railway would be a rough trip. But North Korea has very little medicine, so they have to get it either from the Russians or from China. I don't know which. But I think the thing to stress is that really what Kim Jong-un has done is he has incurred a blood debt by Russia to North Korea. And so even Ambassador Matsugora said in his interview to the Russian newspaper on Monday, he's the DPRK, the Russian ambassador to North Korea, and he said that we offered to compensate the North Koreans, for all their medical efforts that they'll be making, and they refused. And he was profuse with praise. But this is Kim Jong-un's rather ingenious strategy, which is that you can't trust China, you can't trust the United States, whether it's Biden or Trump. But Putin, for all of his flaws, he's consistent, and he needs a consistent ally to hold on to right now. And I think he's done something that's extremely clever that provides a carryover over the next few years for the North Korean regime until things can stabilize, if they stabilize. I personally think that the international system is in great flux, and we're going to see a lot of unthinkable things pan out over the next 3-4 years. And we're seeing just the beginnings of it in the United States and some of the manifest destiny type pronouncements that Trump has made. But Kim has made a very solid decision which will carry him over. And I think that what we're seeing today with the exchanges going on is further cementing that relationship.
Right. So Putin has definitely gained Kim Jong-un's trust in this point. But Ukrainian officials say North Korean-made missiles used by Russia have also improved in terms of accuracy from 1 to 3 kilometers to 50 to 100 meters. Dr. Go, could North Korea be just improving its missile technology through the war?
Well, so if the baseline that we're talking about is essentially an error of 1 to 3 kilometers and improvement to like 50 to 100 meters, it's like a huge improvement. But then we have to look at the baseline. The baseline of an error margin of error of 1 to 3 kilometers, it's just horrendous. So essentially, if that was the original technology, a guidance technology that North Koreans implemented in their missiles, it means that North Korea had a really poor understanding of dynamics and I mean, essentially rocket science. There's no rocket scientist in North Korea. That's what it means. So in that sense, I think this kind of like an offshoot, like an overshoot or undershoot, probably was due to some other reasons. So the missiles are made in North Korea, but chances that the personnel who operate these missiles, that prepare and launch these missiles, are likely to be Russian soldiers. Perhaps the Russian soldiers didn't do or didn't understand how to operate these missiles, even though the North Korean missiles use the original Russian designs. So it's possible that even without a marked improvement in the quality of North Korean missiles guidance systems, it could be the Russian military or personnel who operate these missiles essentially through experience acquired a know-how how to improve the accuracy of these missiles. So that's, I think, is more likely. And then second is that it's possible that North Koreans have implemented new technology, but then still this essentially the marginal error of 100 meters is not exactly a record-breaking accuracy. South Korea and most Western powers have a much more precision, high precision missiles guidance systems. That we're talking about a marginal error of 1 to 5 meters. So we're talking about still a magnitude about another order of magnitude when it comes to difference in accuracy between the North Korean missiles and those of the comparable system in South Korea or elsewhere.
Right, so it has developed, but not meeting international standards yet.
Yeah, so also it doesn't necessarily mean that the North Koreans acquired the latest and greatest technology and missile guidance system. The improvement factor could be due to some other factors.
Now, in terms of this development of their weapon systems, recent reports indicate that North Korea and Russia have begun jointly developing drones as well, with mass production expected to start this year. Dr. Barry, how significant is this development for the regime's military capabilities?
Well, I think it means that they can't rely on Iran. Iran's got its own problems right now. Iran has had many of its facilities decimated by Israel in the last few months, and Iran cannot be relied upon to maybe contribute drones in the way that it had in the past. So perhaps the idea is for North Korea to more than make up for the deficit that Iran would have provided, and North Korea is quite capable of it, and also it's in North Korea's interest to get the latest and greatest capabilities in drone technology, because it's their troops who are being most severely affected by Ukrainian drones. This is the future of modern warfare. So it makes sense to me. But I should also note that another factor that's driving North Korean-Russian cooperation in all facets is the fact that another significant event happened in December, not just the brief declaration of martial law in South Korea, but later in the month, we saw the fall of the Assad regime in Syria, which was a family regime, family dynasty that had lasted for 54 years. And this was a regime that was not only propped up by Iran, but by Russia. So North Korea realizes it really is doesn't have any wiggle room, but it has to continue to be tightly wound together with Russia so that the eventuality that befell Assad's Syria does not happen to the Kim dynasty in North Korea.
Now, experts have been saying that because of the support from North Korea, the Ukraine war has been prolonged. You've mentioned about the very steadfast trust between Kim Jong-un and Putin a while ago. What are the chances that Trump administration will negotiate separately with North Korea to stop its support for Russia as a means to put an end to the war in Ukraine?
I think it's zero. And also, I think there's a lot of bluster coming from Trump about, for example, he said that, well, he told Fox News, well, I don't want to say how many times I've talked with Putin over the phone. My basic feeling is they talked over the phone. They said, hello, how are you? It's nice to have you back in the White House again. And they left it to General Kellogg and other American aides and the inner circle around Putin to do the negotiating. And there may or may not be a Putin-Trump meeting in Saudi Arabia or the UAE in March. But my feeling is Trump's going to really find out what Putin is made of, and we're going to see how much of a novice President Trump really is, because in my view, there are very few equals to Putin in the world. One of them is Netanyahu of Israel, but he doesn't control a country that's the size and population of Russia. Another is President Xi, of course, and another, I would say, is Kim Jong-un. Simply because he would boast to visitors, American visitors, or his father, I should say, that we're a small country, we're a poor country, but when it comes to international politics, we have a black belt. So my point is that there's no way you can separate North Korea and Kim Jong-un from the war in Ukraine. And Trump knows he would be a fool to try to negotiate that separately. There's absolutely no incentive for that to happen. Moreover, Kim Jong-un wants to achieve the stature of his father and his grandfather, which is to be invited to Moscow, which looks like it will happen on May 8th. And also President Xi is expected, or apparently has confirmed his attendance at the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II in Europe. So this is the trajectory that Kim Jong-un is heading in. And Trump can talk all he wants about what a good relationship he has with Kim, but the point is that in his final letter, Kim basically was trying to say, I have interests. And if you don't cancel a troop exercise that you promised me face-to-face that you would, what do I say to my people? So basically, he's basically saying that I'm more trustworthy and steadfast than you are, Mr. President. So I just don't see any separation of Russia and Kim Jong-un at this point, unless there's some unforeseen eventualities.
Right, so we're going to expect a deeper collaboration between the two countries.
That is correct.
Now, before we let you go, Dr. Go, some analysts suggest that the North Korea-Russia partnership could serve as a blueprint for similar isolated countries to follow suit. What do you think of the possibilities and what might be consequences?
Well, I think the Russia and North Korea are getting closer, especially for Russia. I think not out of necessity, not out of design. So Russia is on one of the, also very isolated right now. It's cut off from the international economy, legally speaking. I mean, there's an oil embargo against the Russian oil export. Russia is cut off from the international financial systems. So in that sense, Russia has no other way to expand its foreign relations except for these rogue states such as North Korea, Iran, and Venezuela. So in that sense, it's not a model. It's more of an like an option of last resort for the Russians. So also, I mean, this kind of alignment or cooperation between rogue states, I don't think it's going to be very effective in the long run or sustainable. We're talking about two wrongs. So two wrongs don't make a one right. So in that sense, I think Russians or also North Korea are going to find out that even though their collaboration is probably worthwhile in the short run and also very useful in a way, in the long run, they need more of a legit cooperation relationship with more respectable countries and economies. So in that sense, I think this is more of a temporary situation rather than a more permanent and sustainable arrangement.
Right, and so we'll hope to see no more of these kinds of collaboration in the future. I'm afraid we'll have to wrap up our discussion here. Thank you so much for your insights tonight, Dr. Go.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And of course, Dr. Berry, we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
That'll be all from us on Within the Frame. Be sure to tune in next time as we continue to explore the stories that matter. Until then, stay informed and engaged.